The second part of our process is judge. First, we look around, and we've seen polarization, and now we're going to judge. We're not looking for right or wrong. We're looking for the information right now to make that decision about right or wrong. And so to help us judge and help us make better decisions, we're going to be taking a look at what the scriptures might have to say about this kind of thing. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, a religious expert tries to test Jesus. This person tells Jesus that we're all supposed to love God with our heart and our soul and our strength and our mind, and that we're all supposed to love our neighbors as ourselves. And Jesus agrees and tells him he's right. But when the man asks the question, Jesus to tell him who his neighbor was, Jesus doesn't give a direct answer. He tells him a story. He tells him a parable. And that parable challenged him politically, racially, and faith-wise. From the Gospel of Luke, we hear Jesus' story. A man fell victim to robbers as he went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. The robbers stripped and beat him and went off, leaving him half dead. Just for the record, just so you know, that road from Jerusalem to Jericho kind of was like bordering on challenging territory. It was not perceived as a safe road. So the fact that this mugging happened is not surprising. Here's where the surprise comes. A priest happened to be going down the road, and when he saw the beat up guy, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite, also a religious-oriented person, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. People who are listening probably are getting a little bit tense, because all of a sudden Jesus has set up a scene, and it's like the religious people are not really being very faithful. They're avoiding and passing by the other side. It's like Jesus is throwing religious leaders under the bus. But a Samaritan comes by. Now, but is a big deal. It lets them know that the Samaritan's the hero, and that's shocking or surprising. It's a little bit outrageous. People who were listening back in those days viewed Samaritans as half-breeds, traitors, and religiously offensive. They went out of their way to have nothing to do with them. You have to take a look around and figure out who are the Samaritans nowadays. Are they terrorists? Are they bombers? Are they people who wear masks? Or people who challenge other people to wear masks? Are they people who have open schools, or people who are making us all do virtual learning at home? So who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? In Jesus' day, the Samaritans were, amongst his listeners at that time, identified as the bad guys. And if you, out of that list I just gave you, if something triggered something in you and you thought, well, that's a bad person, then that's what the listeners heard back in Jesus' day. Samaritan, bad person. The Samaritan traveler came upon the mugged person, and he was moved with compassion at the sight. He approached the victim, poured oil and wine over his wounds, and bandaged him. Then he lifted him up on his own animal. The Samaritan was riding on something, but he threw the muggee onto his own animal and took him to an inn and cared for him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper with the instruction, take care of him. If you spend more than what I've given you, I will repay you on my way back. The Samaritan the other people walked on the other side of the street, but the Samaritan not only helped out, but went beyond just the minimum. He literally did everything he could for a stranger in need and promised to do more if needed. So then Jesus asked a question of the person who started this whole conversation. Which of these, in your opinion, was neighbor to the robber's victim? And that wise person said, the one who treated him with mercy. And Jesus said, go and do likewise. You see what Jesus did? He pushed all the buttons into his listeners' ears: race, politics, religion, and then he flipped the question. The expert wanted to know who is my neighbor? He was drawing the line to focus on others. How do I classify others to see who I love? Jesus didn't answer the who is my neighbor question. Jesus answered the who is the neighbor. You and I are called to be a neighbor to anyone we encounter. Instead of trying to classify others, trying to make other of others, I need to classify myself. We need to classify ourselves as a neighbor. Do you see the difference? Our inclination is to look out for ourselves, to ask the question, what about me? We ask, how is this going to impact me? How is this going to impact my future? How is this going to impact everything? But in Jesus' world, it's not about me. It's about this set of values. Throughout the New Testament, Jesus tells his followers, us, to put the needs of others first, to care for the hurting, the needy, the sick, the homeless. He tells us to love our enemies, to go the extra mile. In Jesus' world, in Jesus' economy, it's not about me. It's about being neighbor to others. And then Jesus calls us to go and do likewise, as the Samaritan did in his story. I have a couple questions here for you to ask. Okay? And they'll be up here on screen. After having heard the story of the Good Samaritan, what does your family have to say? What do you have to say about this story? And please do listen to one another. Listen to each other's opinions. Feel free to ask questions of one another, looking for more information. Have a great conversation.